in a few moments. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Happy Sunday. This is Mayor Shawyn Patterson Howard, and we are excited to have as our guest this evening our incredible county executive, George Latimer. We want to give him a special thank you for coming and being our guest tonight because it is his birthday. It is our county executive's birthday, so happy birthday, CE. We're glad that you're joining us. He is a true Mount Vernonite. He is a native of Mount Vernon, New York, and it's just great to have him as our county executive and strong colleague on a county level. And we also have joining us a former Mount Vernonite. Not everyone knows that. Look, we're claiming everything tonight. We're claiming everything. Ken Jenkins.
Magnolia.
Ken Jenkins is our deputy county executive. He said
Yeah.
formerly of Magnolia Avenue.
Mhm.
So he's just making sure that everyone knows that he is legit. When he says he comes from Mount Vernon, he's now in Yonkers, but he represents us on a county level as well as the deputy county executive and another incredible partner here in Mount Vernon. So gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And you see all of the happy birthdays are coming in for our county executive. So we want to start out because we're entering into the Thanksgiving holiday, and 2020 has been an interesting year. It's been a very interesting year, I think, for all of us. I think for me, it's been my trial by fire, but we're ready to go and we're not worried about it. I'm going to pull back for a second, and there's your elementary school friend, County Executive David Gladman. He just said happy birthday.
Thank
A
you,
shout
David.
out.
We were
So
once kids fooling around in class. Now we're old men fooling around.
So what we want to do is we want to ask everyone just to take a moment and please share this, or start a watch party, so that everyone can get the information that we have available tonight. This is available on Mayor SPH's page, CMVNY's page, and if people don't have social media, then they can view it also on our YouTube page, and it will be on Instagram probably about a half an hour after the show, and on CMVNY website by tomorrow. So we're going to start off. And I just want to give everyone an update for about 2 minutes on COVID and what's going on with COVID here in Mount Vernon. Malcolm, if you can put up for us our daily cases here in Mount Vernon, if we could kind of just show, we've been tracking our cases of COVID since March, when it happened. And we really just want people to kind of understand what is happening with our COVID numbers. Malcolm, you have those available for us? So as you can see, here are the daily cases in Mount Vernon. I think we experienced our major peak somewhere around April 7th with about 160 cases that we got that day. Right now, we are averaging about 15 to 20 cases a day. You know, we went flat for a long time from the end of May until about October 5th or 6th, and then we started to see an increase in our numbers in Mount Vernon again. Mount Vernon is currently not under a yellow zone or an orange zone designation, but we are seeing our numbers increase. We saw throughout the summer very low numbers, July, August, September. We averaged, in the 60s. And then in October, we saw it shoot up to 181 cases for the month. And by the time the middle of November came now, we're seeing that we've already eclipsed our October numbers. And so people have asked about the advisory that I issued for Mount Vernon and, why offering the advisory at this time. And that's really because unlike New Rochelle and Yonkers and White Plains and other communities around us, Mount Vernon doesn't really have a fully operational hospital. We don't have an ICU unit. We have a high rate of persons of color, 84%. We are very densely populated, and we wanted to take extra precautions in advance. But it's not a stay-at-home order. It's not a pause. We're not saying that you can't go to work or to school or to gyms or to restaurants or shopping or to church. We're just saying when you do go out, after you're finished taking care of your business, then please just come on home and spend time at home, and, not kind of just hang out and do too much socializing. So the other question that we've received a lot is, where are the cases in Mount Vernon? So as you can see, this is a map of Mount Vernon. The cases are everywhere. The cases go from, can you put that back up real quick, Malcolm? The cases go from Kingsbridge down in South Mount Vernon all the way up to the north end of Fleetwood and the Bronxville border, from our Yonkers border to our Pelham border. Our cases are all throughout Mount Vernon. So there is no true cluster area of cases. What we have seen is that there's been familial spread. We're seeing 3, 4, 5 cases in households throughout the city. And that's why we have been, really, really cautioning against people visiting at each other's homes and doing holidays and things of that nature. So that's the graphic. It's everywhere throughout Mount Vernon. It's a good spread all throughout the center, north, south, east, and west of Mount Vernon. So with that, County Executive Latimer and Deputy County Executive Jenkins, what are some of the lessons that you feel you've learned since March in dealing with COVID, and how are we applying these lessons as we deal with this second wave in our area?
Well, Madam Mayor, I think it's pretty clear to all of us that this is a serious disease. We heard a lot of rhetoric that came from Washington, that it was a hoax and there was only 15 people and some folk coming in from China. That was the whole pandemic. But we saw very early on in March into April that this is a lot more widespread. It is highly contagious because it is airborne. You don't have to touch the other person. You don't have to exchange any kind of particular interaction with them. You can sneeze, the droplets are in the air, you could get them. So it moved fast. We reacted in as much real time as we could as a county, but I think it's important for everybody to remember, and this is something you've faced as well, that Governor Cuomo stepped in fairly early on in the process. He used the executive order authority that he had as governor of the state to supersede the authority that you have as a mayor, that I have as a county executive. And he has basically, made the decisions to open or close things, which might normally be within a localized responsibility. It makes sense in that you don't want one set of rules in Westchester, another set of rules in the Bronx, and people go back and forth across the border easily. But the reason why I say that is that we are working around the perimeter as city officials and county officials to do those things that we think will be helpful. What are the things that we've learned that we're trying to be helpful? We need to have people comply with wearing a mask when they're in contact with other people. It reduces, when I have the mask on, it reduces my giving off something that you might get. And when you wear the mask, it reduces something that I might get. There's a certain amount of folk who don't want to do that. Some have an ideological thing going on, political thing. Some are, 20-year-old types who just, they don't think they're going to get sick, and they want to have the fun of being 20 years old, interaction and sports and, social. And just don't want to do it late night in a bar, don't want to do it. And those things, have an impact. We've lost in Westchester County 1,500 people, just hit that number today, 1,500 deaths, people who were alive on March 1st who were not alive. Now, they have been disproportionately people of color. They've been disproportionately senior citizens. They've been disproportionately poor people. And if we as a society believe we have to protect those who are vulnerable, then we have to try to get a handle on this disease. We're trying within the county to be a partner to the city and then the other communities of the county in getting out PPE, personal protective equipment, primarily for the average individual masks. In certain business contexts, you might need shields and some other things. We've tried to put some money behind helping small businesses so that they can put up plexiglass in their business, protect the people who work there, then the people who come to have business there. We made some grant money available if folk want to buy outdoor heaters, which works through like October and November. It's going to be hard for it to work through December and January, or to fix things in their HVAC. We think that would be helpful from a business standpoint. And we're trying, to make sure that we get out quantities of the state-produced hand sanitizer. And these are things that we don't normally do every day. We don't normally wear masks. We don't normally sanitize our hands every few seconds. We don't normally social distance. I mean, for those of us, who are involved in public public life, we're accustomed to shaking hands and putting your arm around somebody and giving them a kiss on the cheek, and that warm connection is unusual. It's unusual in a church setting. It's unusual of social distancing in a host of other areas. But these are things that we have to do. We're trying to enforce it without the heavy hand of law enforcement. And that can be difficult, but we're going through a debate in the society right now about what is the proper role of law enforcement vis-a-vis the community. And so while we're trying to come up with ways to be sensitive and responsive to the community, this is the wrong time to send people in and say, write tickets and have confrontation. So we really need people to understand and decide through their own free will that this is the smart way to go, and to try to have impact on it. Ken and the rest of our operations team have done a lot of innovative things to get people to comply, but we're trying, Shawyn, to get people to understand this is a serious disease. This is not like the flu. We have a fatality rate in Westchester that's triple or more whatever the fatality rate would be in a flu. And I really don't want to hear people minimizing this thing. This is a serious disease. We've lost friends to it. We have to fight it. The vaccines apparently are coming fairly soon, I hope. And when they do come, that'll help us. But we still have to get people in the mindset, this is something we have to use and we have to overcome this. I know Ken has been involved directly in these issues as well. He may want to add to that answer as well.
Yeah, thanks, George. And again, just continue to make sure that we remind people and say happy birthday to you again, for all the things they do. I mean, you're spending Sundays with Shawyn, which is always a good thing. But in seriousness with the things as county executive has pointed out, his leadership through this particular process, and as most people recall, we started this with the first zone in New York State and the East Coast, the first containment area in New Rochelle. And it started from that particular process. So we've been able to continue with that, but we've been working with everyone cooperatively, and because of George's unique style, which again, as from if you spend 30 years as a legislator, that's what you know, and it means that you bring everyone to the table, you listen to everyone, and whether that's the school districts that we meet weekly with, or the municipalities that we had multiple meetings with, now it's just once a week time frame to be able to help coordinate that. And again, as the county executive pointed out, the governor's used his executive authority, but we've all been trying to work and use, as in his terms, sweet reasonability to get people to do the right things. So again, it's the kind of things that are happening, and people really need to continue to take things seriously. And everyone's tired. We've been doing this for 8 months. So people are very frustrated. They got COVID fatigue. They're like, oh, I don't want to wear a mask, etc. But the county executive this week in his briefing clearly explain to people the choices that they're making, and certainly, Mayor, you have been trying to alert the people of Mount Vernon and let them know that there's things that they can do to make a difference, to make sure that they don't hit the yellow list and, God forbid, the orange list and the red list. And again, we've lost 1,500 Westchester residents, and every one of them is important as the county executive has said. You're muted, Mayor.
We were watching. Thank you. Yes, we've lost a lot of friends, families, relatives, colleagues, neighbors. One life is too many, but 1,500 is something that definitely shakes the core of our community, of our county. Watching Governor Cuomo earlier on television, he talked about the areas that have high infection rates throughout the state. And it's pretty much all over the map, whether it's upstate in, Rochester or Tonawanda, or it's down in Bayshore or New City, or, some of our communities here in Westchester. We're trying to deal with these infection rates and prevent them from going up, find a way to contain them and to bring them down. And as we continue to dig through our numbers here in Mount Vernon, we saw that there was specific need to do outreach into the Spanish and Portuguese speaking communities, because we were seeing, some challenges in those communities, and we wanted to make sure that we were communicating with them in their primary language, as well as that we were doing targeted outreach through their social and civic organizations and cultural organizations, as well as their faith-based community, to make sure that we're getting the message out. So we're not looking to leave any stone unturned. And then also, when you're talking about the advisories, the other thing that Governor Cuomo said, he talked about, really not having extra people in your homes, limiting or canceling your traditional Thanksgiving celebrations, avoiding travel. We've already seen on the news that the travel numbers are up higher than they've been all year since March. And so people are saying, well, what do you expect post-Thanksgiving is going to bring in our communities with so much travel and with the holidays coming? And I kind of want to take a look at that. Where do you think it's leading? Everyone continues to ask me, when do you think we're shut down? When do you think we'll all be in a yellow zone or an orange zone or a red zone? When do you think that is coming? I know that I know all throughout the county that we're working hard to prevent that. But also at the same time, how are we preparing for it?
Well, you have to assume that as many people as are going to make the difficult decisions not to have a larger Thanksgiving family event, some people will. And when those people have that, the chances of infection grow. And look, I get that this is a hard thing to do personally. When I lived in my parents' house on South 14th Avenue, right at the foot of Vista Place, my dad for Thanksgiving would make a certain kind of sweet potato pie at Thanksgiving. My sister picked up the recipe and she makes it for her Thanksgiving, and she and my brother-in-law and my nephews live down in the DC area. So usually for Thanksgiving, we would go down or they would come up, and that's how I'd get my sweet potato pie. Well, I'm not getting that this year. And I'm not getting to see my sister and my nephews and my brother-in-law, nor my daughter, her husband, their kids. They live in Lexington, Kentucky. And, that's a sacrifice, and everybody makes some sacrifice like that. Thanksgiving is the day we get together. As you can see, it falls near my birthday, and it's a festive time. But that has to be, sacrificed in the same way that we sacrificed Easter, and for our Jewish brothers and sisters, the first night of Passover, our Muslim brothers and sisters, Ramadan, and the great breaking of the fast when Ramadan is over. Those are things that link us together through our faith, through our culture, and so forth. And we've had to sacrifice those things, and Thanksgiving is now the latest of that number. And I do think we're going to see an increase in cases. We've been seeing a steady increase now for the last 6 weeks. The numbers have been jumping up day by day. Tomorrow at 2:00, we'll do our first of the week COVID update. We'll do a second one on Wednesday. But the numbers have just been jumping up week after week countywide. And while you're looking at numbers showing that you showed in Mount Vernon, this is in a number of areas. We have 6 zones right now that have reached a certain level of infection. Mount Vernon is not one of them. And yet, even with that, we run the risk of seeing this across the board. The one piece of advice I got, as you can see, I need a haircut over here. I'm proud to be 67. I got some hair. I must say I'm proud about that. But it's time for me to get a haircut before Thanksgiving, because I may not be able to get a haircut after Thanksgiving for a while. And you give me another 3 or 4 weeks without a haircut, and you don't want to look at your county executive. I mean, it's just like, stay off camera, George.
So I have to admit that I had to make that same decision. I get my hair colored like once every 2 months. And I went to the hairdresser this morning and I said, well, you could see some of the grays, you could see some of the black. I just got my color done today. And I told people, I said, look, I got my color done today. I went to Gina's on 4th Avenue. I'm purchasing some hair in case I need to put my hair in braids, because the last time it was really, really hard to keep it up. It was hard to keep it up. We thought 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it ended up being, 3 months of personal care places closed. And so I'm trying to plan ahead right now. And, we've been stocking back up on some of our personal supplies, and I'm encouraging people not to overwhelm and run the stores because they're already starting to limit. But about a month ago, we definitely started ordering some PPE e-equipment for my house and our family, and doing what we need to do to make sure we're prepared at home. We've been doing the same so that we can continue to operate government. I've been encouraging others to do the same. Our schools in Mount Vernon opened last Monday. We were really excited about that. It was really joyful to see the kids walk into school and their faces light up, especially those 4-year-olds who were walking into
Yeah.
school for the first time, and they had an opportunity to meet their teacher. Some people said, well, why would Mount Vernon open the school so late? Dr. Hamilton said he wanted to make sure that all of the children had an opportunity to meet their teachers. Might they have to close down for a little while? Sure. But, hopefully once testing protocols are in place and things of that nature, and we can kind of get this second wave under control, if we ever have to close schools here in Mount Vernon, that we can open them back up. So we have to pray for the best and plan for the worst or the most challenging scenarios that we might face. And as we've said, we have about 8 months under our belt in dealing with this, and we're going to make the best decisions possible. We still have a lot of questions, but we also have a lot of answers, and we have partnerships that we can lean on now that make me feel, much more comforted. Mount Vernon's not in this alone. We had a Zoom last week with the mayors of Yonkers and Peekskill and White Plains, Portchester, and the city manager from New Rochelle. And, all of us are looking at some of the same things and concerned about the same issues and have the same challenges, but we're not in this alone. We're not in this alone. We're reaching out to people across the country, and it's it's nothing that anyone wants to deal with, but that's part of leadership, is picking up the mantle and dealing with the challenging issues. And so, Ken, what are you gonna do for Thanksgiving?
Nothing. We're actually we're really gonna we really made that decision, and based on the conversations with the experts and trying to lead by example. We're working through things, and I heard George clearly when he did his message and told that to individuals again. Listen, if you want this to be the last Thanksgiving you spend with somebody, then you should be thinking about those choices that you're making. And really, at this point in time, our family members, my daughter is down in South Carolina because she's a teacher and she's allowed to be remote in her particular case. But she's like, nope, you're not coming back. You're not going to be able to do that. And with my mother-in-law, she's 81 years old. So we're going to pass the plate under the door, and that's what she's going to be able to deal with. Because again, for all of us, we really want to spend time with family, and I could just taste the pie that George was talking about. This year, you know what, we're going to make that sacrifice and not be able to do that. So that we can do it in the future. And again, we've done only sacrifices for 8 months. Let's not slack up now, right? When things are going on the upswing, which we all expected it to do. I mean, in flu season, cold and flu season is a normal thing. But with the virus, it doesn't take a break. So we need to stay on top of things.
And so I can tell you, we're going to do Zooms giving. That's what we're doing. We're doing Zooms giving. I can have up to 30, 40 people easily come through my house on Thanksgiving, from the living room to the dining room to the family room and the hallways, and plates all over and people standing up, and then others coming by for desserts afterwards, and the football game and whatever else is happening. But even the most intimate gathering with my mother and dad, and with my sister and her fiance and daughter. And, we said, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it this year, not even in a small number. And similar to you, take a plate over to mom. And that was kind of hard. That was a really hard decision
not
to
easy
make.
stuff.
But like we said, we have to lead by example, and I can't ask the community to do something that I'm not willing to do. My mom has MS, she's a cancer survivor, and I don't want to put her at risk for anything. I want her to be healthy. And so we'll have our dinners at our separate homes. And just like we're communicating with each other right now via this platform, we're going to do this for Thanksgiving. And that's difficult. My husband fries turkeys. Oh my God, my whole neighborhood smells great. He
You
fries
guys get me
turkeys.
hungry now. Stop.
He asked me today, he's like, are you going to make the collard greens with the smoked turkey wings? And I was like, I like cooking for 40 people, but it's not fun cooking for a small group. So we're going to have to forego some of the traditional meal, but because that's stuff you just do when you're doing it for a big group. So I want to kind of move forward.
Shawyn, if I can just want to make one comment off of this, if I may, because we're I think Ken is right. We all understand that we're going through pandemic fatigue, and this is 9 months of a sacrifice. I've told the story before, not necessarily the context, but growing up where I did, my mom and dad were children of the prior generation. And when I was young, 12, 13, 14 years old, they would tell stories about growing up during the Depression and then what they did during World War II. And my mom worked in a factory. They both dropped out of school in the 1930s to work to help support their respective families. My dad in Brooklyn, my mom up in Harrison. And my dad was overseas during the war. My mom was in a factory working in Hartford, Connecticut. And when they tell you these stories, like I'm 12, 13 years old, I'm like, I got to go. I got to be with my friends. I'd be at Brush Park. We'd play ball, or we actually would illegally play touch football in the 3rd Avenue parking lot. Every time the cops came, we'd scatter, and then we'd come back. But the bottom line was it didn't mean anything to me because I didn't feel that sacrifice in my generation. Now here I am at 67, and all of a sudden now I get what they told me about all those years, how the whole society had to sacrifice during the Depression, the whole society had to sacrifice during World War II, and nobody knew how long the Depression was going to last, and nobody knew how long the war was going to last, and day after day they had rationing and all this stuff they tell me about. So here we are, our generation, at different ages, and we haven't been through anything like this before. This is all new to us, you and I, all three of us, and our colleagues, government, business, clergy. Everybody's trying to figure it out. But one thing we know is that we are resilient people. Mount Vernon is a resilient city. People, they used to say the thing about a Timex, takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And this is when we draw from that strength. This is where we draw from our faith traditions. This is when we draw from the families that we have. This is when we draw from a community at large. And Mount Vernon is a diverse community with people who have learned to live with each other and thrive with each other. Not every community does that. And that's what I think we have to tap into at a moment like this. And it may be another 4 months. I don't know how long it's going to be. Nobody really does. But while we go through that sacrifice, we will come through this. We will overcome it. We just have to remind ourselves it's been done before, and we're going to do it again this time.
And I'm incredibly proud. I'm incredibly proud of this community. We put together an incident command team and a task force back in March to address COVID in our community. And when May came around and we started to see the numbers recede, and June came and we started to work on reopening the community, the one thing that we committed to, because Mount Vernon, people can always guarantee that Mount Vernon is going to cause a challenge, is that we did not want to be the community that caused the region to close down, and that we wanted to be vigilant and really work with the community to keep our numbers low, to take care of each other in a community. You can't control the increase. We can work on decreasing the speed in which the cases increase, but you can't stop it altogether, unfortunately. I wish it was just that easy. And so, we've been doing a good job. We're going to get numbers every day. We know the numbers are a few days behind. And all of us are going to be a yellow zone, an orange zone, or whatever color we're going to be. All of us are going to move into that space based on the growth in the numbers. But, what are we going to do to take care of ourselves in the midst of all of that? And one of the things that I've seen in Mount Vernon and I've seen throughout the county is hunger. Hunger has increased. Hunger has been an issue in our county. And hunger and food insecurity continues to grow. It's not just the poor, it's not just the working class poor, but even the middle class are coming out and saying, we're going to take advantage of some of this food that's being given out because we need it. And I try and let people know that it can't be about your pride. But if you're able to get free food and that helps you to redirect money to transportation, to utilities, to rent, to mortgage, then that's what you do. Everyone right now is struggling one way or another. There are a lot of people who are stressed out. There are a lot of people who need not just a hand out, but a hand up. So I'm grateful to the county and to the state for working with our small businesses to help them secure PPP or PPE equipment, and to microloans and things of that nature to help our small business owners. Another thing that we're seeing is utility disconnection and rent eviction prevention monies are being made available through the county. We hope to be releasing some applications for that in the city of Mount Vernon soon. We did get about $4.3 million in HUD monies. It's just been hard to get that released to our community directly, but we are definitely working on those solutions. But we know that it's hard. We know that it's difficult. We know that people are tired of staying at home. Through our youth bureau, we are offering mental health counseling and mental health Zooms. We're doing virtual after school and we did virtual summer camp, and we're getting ready to kick off our virtual youth employment training during the school year. Our seniors were making phone calls. We want to thank the county tremendously for working with us and helping us to grow and enhance our senior feeding program. We're feeding over 350 seniors a day here in Mount Vernon, and that is largely due to the support that we're receiving from the county. So I want to thank you for that, because it's been a partnership. And in those dark days of March and April, all of our first PPE supplies came through the county, came through the emergency operations and the emergency management system, whether it was Tyvek suits or sanitizer or masks. We came up to you as often as you had things available so that we could bring equipment in to work with our first responders. And then, through the state and county partnerships, we were also able to give out tens of thousands of masks to our residents and distribute hand sanitizer in the community and expand our food distributions. So Malcolm, if you could put that up, we do have a grab and go happening at the Dole Center tomorrow at 12:30. There is a grab and go happening with Feeding Westchester at the Dole Center at 12:30 tomorrow. So if you need some food, please avail yourself. Monday, tomorrow at 12:30 at the Dole Center, and then the next one will be on Friday at December 4th. But this is free. You don't have to prove income or anything like that. You just have to show up, and we're going to make sure that you get food to take care of yourself and your family. It's just as simple as that. But continue to reach out to your neighbors, continue to reach out to your friends and your family, and just check in with them, do wellness checks. And then if you find that you need help and that you need encouragement and that you need support, don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to reach out for help, because this is something none of us have ever gone through. It's something that we don't want to continue to go through, but we are here and we need to make sure that we're taking care of our mental and our emotional health as well. So
let me just chime in on that, and I want Ken to add to this as well. Ken served as chairman of the Board of Legislators more recently than I did. My tenure goes back about 20 years, his sooner. And during his tenure, and as I observed it when I was in the state legislature, the administration that preceded ours had a different philosophy of things. They're fairly conservative. They didn't believe that county government should be involved in affordable housing, didn't believe county government should be involved in providing certain services. It was one of those, you're on your own, son, kind of philosophy, sort of the way the federal government has been over the last 4 years. So we come in with a new attitude in administration. We have different life experiences, Ken, myself, and the other people in our administration, Crystal Collins, Diana Atkins, Tracy Thompson-Smith, all from Mount Vernon. There are other folk in our administration from other parts of the county. And we come in and we believe in the county being involved as a partner, not to necessarily commandeer and take over things, but to work alongside communities. That's what Memorial Field is about. That's what the IDA is about. There's a need in Mount Vernon, and we can help satisfy that need with the leadership coming from Mount Vernon, not necessarily from the county. But when you mention these things, I want Ken to make the touches on eviction prevention. That's a big issue that's coming. You mentioned feeding. We got additional money from the federal government, COVID Act money. And people say, well, what did you use it for? Did you use it to balance the budget? We took $4 million of that COVID money and we put it into food distribution through Feeding Westchester, through some of the local food pantries. It didn't solve all the problems, and it complemented money we already had in the budget. But we know that there are people who are unemployed. And when they're unemployed, now there isn't any federal program to help them out since the money dried up. I guess it was August or October it dried up. And they're not getting any money yet. And the state, unemployment insurance fund goes so far and no further. But what we're doing is trying to provide food for people that need it so they can keep their family fed if they're not employed, on the belief that in time the economy will rebound and go forward. Issues that relate to small business we talked about before. Ken has been at the forefront of trying to make sure that there is legal protection for people who are facing the threat of eviction. Why? Because they haven't any money, can't pay their rent. And you don't want to go before a judge, you yourself, and the landlord is represented by legal counsel, and you don't know the rules of the road. Before you know it, you're out of an apartment, or you've been foreclosed on your house. And I know Ken wants to hit on those points as important steps that we're taking.
Yeah, and because we've been working through this, and because of the county executive's leadership and working through this, and he always uses the royal we, and he shares the love around the thing. But as you know, Mayor, you're the mayor of Mount Vernon. If you're not leading the game, the people are just going in all kinds of crazy directions. We have our great leader and county executive, George Latimer, that makes sure that he gives us the latitude to do the things that need to be done. But at the end of the day, he's the county executive and making sure that the money goes into those places. And whether it's food insecurity, I know we were earlier kind of joking about all the things that we were talking about and making sure to protect our families through this crisis. Every day we walk around, and you just had a great a partnership with Goya and Feeding Westchester is coming up this week. When people around the block, it's heartbreaking, and it doesn't matter what part of the county you go to, that there's lines around the block. There's a great need for food insecurity. So all those dollars that went into that particular process. But as the county executive was just pointing out, in addition to that, we know about the rent issues, eviction issues, foreclosure issues. And yes, the COVID dollars went through that. $10 billion went to rental assistance. And we are working extremely hard to make sure that we have both sides of the equation handled, both the legal side to make sure that people are represented, because the court's requiring that. And again, Diane Atkins has been doing tremendous work, as you pointed out, the county executive pointed out, as far as dealing with finding ways to take care of our seniors and feed people. I mean, we came up with all kinds of creative programs, including utilizing the dining facility at the closed playland to make meals and then ship them around the whole county. So again, that leadership has been able to do that. But again, to be able to invest in people and making sure that social services are being handled, because we can make sure, and the county executive's budget that he just presented to the Board of Legislators shows that we can continue to invest in things in supporting the community and things that are progressive ideas, making sure that we're taking care of families, we're taking care of small businesses, we're trying to do all kinds of creative things to make sure that people are getting taken care of and supported. And Mayor, that just happens with a great partnership with you and the city of Mount Vernon. And again, Mount Vernon is a microcosm of all of those things that happen around the county. So again, kudos to you and the job that your team continue to do to make sure to come up with creative things, whether it's taking care of people that are way less fortunate, that don't have housing, right? Because there's no evictions, there aren't being people getting kicked out of housing because of evictions, but we still have people that have challenges. And you did point out something, and again, county executive's leadership with Michael Orth, Commissioner of Community Mental Health, we give a shout out that says we have 24 hours, 365 opportunity for people to call to get assistance and support. And like you said, there is no shame in saying, hey, listen, I'm having struggles because none of us have been through this before. And some people are struggling differently. So if you see someone that needs some support, make sure that you take advantage of the telephone numbers, the hotlines, the email addresses, the text messaging, the website. All of those things are available to you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, because we want to make sure everyone's getting the complete level of support and care that they need.
They don't understand the level of partnership. Because I don't want the background to hit. They don't understand the level of partnership that all of this takes. From Westchester County DSS to the Office of Community Mental Health to Planning Department, the IDA Department, County Fire, Department of Emergency Management and Services, the County Police Department. We've just worked with so many, the Westchester County Office for Senior Programs and Services. We've worked with them. And then our partners outside of government, like you said, Feeding Westchester, Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, the Guidance Center, so many different agencies working to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community. One of the projects that we have innovation becomes a necessity when you're faced with challenges like this. And Mount Vernon is very pleased to be involved in a national initiative, one of 25 communities in a national initiative called Mayors for Guaranteed Income. And we're going to receive some private funding, and we're going to use some of our COVID monies as well, and some other partnerships potentially to work with about 75 families, 75 to 100 families, depending on how much funding we're able to pull together to get $500 a month to families for the next 12 months. So none of this is government tax money. This will be, other COVID monies, CDBG, privately raised monies, partnerships with businesses and other partners, so that we can help families. And some people say, well, why would you do that? Because we know so many of our families are living on the brink of homelessness and utility disconnection. People's hours have been cut. The enhanced monies that were coming for the federal government are not there. And we understand the urgent nature of what people are dealing with. And so cash is the currency of urgency. And giving to families who are struggling, they're just going to reinvest this money right back into the local economy. They're going to use it to shop for food. They're going to use it to pay for rent, for transportation, for childcare, to purchase things that they need. This money is not going to go for a vacation for them to travel. It's not going to go to an offshore account. People have asked us, well, aren't you telling them how they have to use this money? Aren't you being prescriptive? No, we're not being prescriptive, because when we bail out banks and we bail out corporations, we don't tell them how to spend their money. And so when we're working to give a hand up and not just a hand out to families, we're trying to bring some release and relief of the stress that they experienced before COVID, and that COVID and all of the challenges that have come along with it have just exacerbated. This is not a universal basic income. We're just providing an income floor that we believe will make a difference. I know if my house received $500 extra a month, it would make a difference. And I'm solidly middle class. And so definitely for our working class poor families who are really struggling, we believe that $500 will make the difference and will help them stabilize themselves in housing, and even allow some parents who are taking 2 and 3 buses to go to work, maybe to get a little kick around car, so that they can have easier transportation and travel out a little bit further, maybe to get a better job, to be able to take care of their families. So we want to provide families with options, and we're going to partner this program with the Cities for Financial Empowerment, where we'll connect them with financial navigators who will help families, with budgeting, with accessing other capital, improving their credit, learning how to manage their money better, get a bank account, as opposed to so many of our families and community are still dealing with check cashing places. So we want to make a difference. And so we are excited about this project, and we're looking forward to making a difference in our community for this. Now, we only have about 15 minutes left, and I cannot let you guys off. COVID is tremendously important, but one of the biggest areas of partnership, financial partnership that we have right now is Memorial Field. And thank you so much, County Executive Latimer, Deputy County Executive Jenkins, to the County Board of Legislators and your incredible team. Memorial Field's projects have started and stopped for 10 years, but we know that with the last groundbreaking that we are really seeing progress. Can you talk to us about some of the things that are happening at Memorial Field right now? I tell people all the time, but they say, oh, it just looked like dirt's being moved around. We've seen dirt moved around for a long time. So can you go down? And I know County Executive has come down, and we're going to be down there together in the very near future. What are some of the things that are happening at Memorial Field right now?
Well, George, and we've been working through all of these things together as a team, and that's, again, as George likes to tell people, it's a three-headed monster, and the things that we get to do. But at Memorial Field right now, Deputy Commissioner Grecian from our Department of Public Works and Transportation has this on his mind, and he calls 2 or 3 times a week just to let everyone know how things are going. So yes, things are progressing, and yes, dirt is being moved around because that's the preparation work that needs to get done to be able to take down the things that have to be taken down and clear things up to start moving in that direction. One of the things that's, again, the level of partnership between the city of Mount Vernon and Westchester County on this particular project, because it's your project. It belongs to Mount Vernon, and George will definitely continue to talk through that and say that the way that his leadership has helped steer the ship on this, but the partnership about the field house and the tennis courts. We had a great opportunity that the county executive insisted that we were going to have a meeting in Mount Vernon to listen to the community and hear the kind of ideas that are going on, and whether that's the skate park or the tennis courts, etc. But that's connected to your field house. And again, we're working together. Again, another behind the scene partnership. No one will see that. No one will see you be down on the field, Mayor, walking around in your really good sneakers, by the way, right? Walking around and trying to see the things that are going on. Like your Kamala Harris with her Chucks on, you probably were more of a Nike woman, if I recall correctly, right? Yeah. But again, you're down on the field, seeing the progress, seeing the things move forward. So again, because of the county executive's leadership and saying that we need to get this done, we push this boulder across that. So I'm sure George wants to talk about it more because he graduated on that field.
That's right.
It's, I'll tell you, it's personal to me. I did get my high school graduation degree on that field, June of 1970. At one point in time, the Little League actually had baseball fields that were configured down there, and I played baseball on those fields. I'd love to tell you I played football. I was in a marching band, not in the football team. Girls always won for the football players. But so I was on that field. I've used it. It's personal to me. I saw Richie Havens at a concert down there. James Brown was down there back when I was young. I know these are old names for people who are young. But bottom line is this. We ain't playing. And I understand that people don't believe things, and they're not going to believe it until they see the things get done. And I recognize that. But I'm just suspending reality until it gets to the point where you see things done. All I can tell you is this. We came into office January of 2018. They had 2 pools over at Sprain Ridge Pool Complex over on Jackson Avenue in Yonkers. And for 10 years, 8 to 10 years, one pool never opened and the other pool opened for like 6 months and was badly done. And we said, we're going to fix those pools and open them up. And we had to actually close it to fix what was done before. And people over there were going, yeah, you ain't doing nothing. Pools opened up in 19. We kept them open in 20. They're there. It's real. There was a historic building called the Miller House, Washington, George Washington's headquarters during the Battle of White Plains, up in North Castle, Virginia Road. big battle, debate, 8 years. The county board put money into it. The prior county executive vetoed it and all this other kind of stuff. And what's going to happen? The town's going to take it. The thing is about ready to collapse. Had a big blue tarp over it for 8 years, 7 years, whatever it was. We sit at a meeting. How much is this going to cost? We get some money from the state, fix it. The damn thing got done. It opened up last year. Now COVID has made it, closed, so we can't use it the way we want. But that got done. New Rochelle Family Court. They're going to open up New Rochelle Family Court right in downtown New Rochelle. Folk who from Mount Vernon, who have had to go to family court for issues, have gone into an inferior facility on North Avenue. That's going to come to an end, I think, before the end of next year. And you're going to be in a modern court, right close to the train, close to the bus, and the way it should be. And we're going to go step by step through these things. And you'll see over time, you'll see exactly how serious we are. Memorial Field is important to Mount Vernon, but there are a lot of other important issues in Mount Vernon. To me, Memorial Field is a symbolic issue. Yeah. Because for many years, people would say, government, blah, they can't do anything. They talk, and this doesn't get done, and who fights with who, and all this kind of stuff. And at one point in time, we heard some of that stuff prior to your coming on board. We work with our friends on the city council, and we have friends on the city council, Lisa Copeland, Marcus Griffith, Derek, Delia, and Alice, everybody. And we worked together with them. We said, you know what? This is getting done. The county will come in. We're going to pay a ton of dough to make this thing happen. And Mount Vernon doesn't even have to worry about the money. And we don't expect to control it. But this thing is getting done so that people in Mount Vernon can say, oh, they weren't kidding. Oh, it got done. And you know why I'm doing that? I'm not doing that because I'm worried about who's going to vote the next time election. I'm doing that for the 12-year-old George Latimer and the 12-year-olds of today who should be on that field, who should be playing sports, track meet. We're going to put a skate park in there, which I never did skate. And I ain't starting now. But the 12-year-olds of today, I owe a debt to the 12-year-old George Latimer. I'm in a position, Ken and I and the rest, we're in a position to do it. We're going to do it. It's going to get done. And then people are going to say, you know what? When they put their mind to it, they can do it. Every other issue that faces Mount Vernon, when they say, hey, Mount Vernon's got a partner. Mount Vernon's got juice in White Plains. Mount Vernon's got juice in Albany. And the partners come in and help out. And they're going to have a whole different set of belief once that field opens up. You mark my words, that field's going to open up. And I'm going to be there with you, enjoying every minute of it.
And I have a serious football arm, so get ready to catch my balls as I'm tossing them off, because I'm serious about it. I have like
I'll catch it over the middle, but I don't want anybody hitting me after I catch it. I don't want nobody laying me out as a tight end by the middle linebacker. I don't want that.
We definitely saw the Heisman look there, Mayor, when we were doing the last groundbreaking, as you said. I noticed in the chat somebody asked the question about MWBE goals, and yes, there are MWBE goals in that. So the number around is about $3.5 million of that work is going to MWBE firms. Period. The end. Right. So the goals that county executive has set are much higher, and those are goals and aspirational goals to be able to get to those things, because it just was not happening before George Latimer walked in and sat in as county executive. There was lip service being done to MWBE participation, and again, I'm seeing that in the chat and making sure that we are recognizing some of the questions that are coming there. Yes, we do have MWBE participation. At this point in time, as you mentioned, Mayor, people just seeing cranes and digging going on, and there's not a lot of participation in the front. But if you looked at the design team from Woodard and Curran, and you saw the diversity of the people that are on that, including a young lady from Mount Vernon, that's part of the design team that's doing that, you'll understand the kind of heart. And I can tell you, because I sat in the meetings with the county executive, guess what? It's going to get done because he said so.
It's going to get done. And so we're looking at what? An 8-lane track, 3 tennis courts, a skate park. We're looking at a new turf football field, which will also have the markings for lacrosse and soccer, a 3,800 seat, 3,800, are we still?
39.
39. Okay, so 39, because I know at one time we were going between the numbers. So 3,900 seats. scoreboard, proper lighting, proper sound system down there, locker rooms, bathrooms, concession area. So we're excited about it. We're definitely excited about it. We even have someone who is looking to invest in the old tennis field house. So we're not going to have to take that down. We're going to be able to keep that and turn that into a nice recreation center. So we will be announcing the fundraising effort around that, but we have some real solid investors in that project. So this is happening. This is coming back online, and absent of a construction project shutdown, we expect it to be open. Are we still going with
fall of 21? If we get good weather and good luck, the Lord's always in charge. Fall of 21. And
Razorback football. I see you with your Mount Vernon Knights on there. Razorback, Mount Vernon Knights on the field. There we go. Right.
Yep, we're ready to go. Like I said, Mean Joe Green would be proud. Yes, he would, Tom. The tennis courts. So one of the things people are asking, will the tennis courts be public? So in order to have Memorial Field open, the county is paying for us to get it redone, but Mount Vernon is going to have to make sure that we're bringing in revenue for operational costs and maintenance and sustainability costs. And so we're going to have open times, and then we're going to also have times where we're going to have to raise revenue to keep Memorial Field open and moving. And I'm really excited. We got a call from Harvard University about 2 weeks ago from their Justice Finance Lab, and they want to dedicate about 5 to 7 of their master's degree students. And these are people who have worked for the Federal Office of Management and Budget and HUD. These are not, 22-year-olds who are just in grad school, but they're in the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and they come with vast experiences, and they're going to work with us and the community, because it's not just us here in government, but work with the community and the government to identify the best operational mix and the best way that we can bring in money so that we can sustain this very significant investment that's being made by the county. So yes, it is Mount Vernon's, and Mount Vernon residents will have access, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 24 hours, 7-day-a-week access. We have to be able to generate revenue to keep Memorial Field running and keep it maintained. And that was one of the problems that we faced years ago, is we just didn't have an operations plan, and we didn't have a way to take care of it. So this is something that we are looking at very closely going forward, and we're just excited. So anything that you guys have as we're ending, I know on December 8th, we're going to do an expo together. We were hoping that we could do it in person and kind of maybe travel throughout the community with people who are interested in investing or finding out more about what Mount Vernon has to offer, but we might need to do it through Zoom. And again, County Executive Latimer, I just want to thank you for always keeping Mount Vernon in the loop. And as a part of the county plan, we are a part of Westchester County. And I know in times past, we've had some county executives that almost wanted to redistrict us into the Bronx. But you continue to claim Mount Vernon as a part of Westchester, because we are, and you continue to actively have us as partners in your plan for the strengthening of Westchester. And so we're really grateful. We're excited. We're excited about the different opportunities, because people are very interested in Mount Vernon. And the one thing that we have to do as Mount Vernonites, honestly, is get out of our own way. We have to stop tearing our own community down. We have to stop talking negatively about our own community, because a lot of people from the outside are looking at our community and they're interested in it. And if we don't understand the value in our own community, then we will undervalue our community and we'll lose our community. So we want to be in a place where we're able to negotiate from a place of strength, and understand fully the value that Mount Vernon has to offer, and make sure that we're picking the proper partners as we move Mount Vernon forward together.
I know we just have a couple minutes. I want to mention this quickly. We have stepped in with the county to provide industrial development agency financing in those places. Mount Vernon has to restructure its IDA entity. The IDA gives reductions and benefits for developers who come in, but it's going to be Mount Vernon decision makers that are going to look at the development and determine if it makes sense. And then the county is going to use its mechanisms to provide that assistance. Let me just say this, having grown up here, I didn't live here all my life, but I remember, during the 80s and when the rap stars were taken off in Mount Vernon, Sean Combs and Heavy D and the boys. This was called Money Earning Mount Vernon. And I was proud to hear that. Now, that's old school rap, not current stuff. But I was also proud to know that this community, has a lot of famous people that have come out of here and done a lot of good things. And that's the Mount Vernon that we look at with great pride. Westchester County cannot succeed if Mount Vernon doesn't succeed. I say the same thing in Yonkers because it's the same thing. Yonkers and Mount Vernon are too big and too important to this county. Bronxville and Armonk and Briarcliff are all wonderful communities, and it probably doesn't matter if I'm county executive or not to them, because they're going to be just fine with or without me. But if I'm going to be here for these 3 years, a few years more, if that's wisdom, and I have Ken with me, and then other things will happen after that, we're going to make sure that Mount Vernon gets its fair shake, and Yonkers too. And if that happens, then Westchester will be even greater. And then we'll look back and we'll say, you know what? It was all about inclusion. Once people said, you know what? Mount Vernon is a brother or sister community in this family of Westchester County. We're not the odd stepbrother, that we're going to hide down the corner. You're in the family. This family is going to work together, and this city is going to rise. It's in the process of rising already. This city is going to rise, and as I get even older, I'm going to be even more proud of my hometown.
Well, we're excited. We're excited to have you as an advocate. We're excited to have you as a partner, and we're proud to call you a son of Mount Vernon. And we look forward to continuing to do great work. Ken, any final words? We went past our 1 hour, but we'll work it out.
No. And again, just to answer somebody in the chat that said, make sure that we're shouting out people like Westcott. That's another partner that's out there that's been working with us to do many things, including helping to support our homeless population or the people that we're sheltering for quarantine purposes. So shout out to Westcott. And finally, again, the county executive is just so passionate about what he feels about bringing everybody around the table. And there's no place bigger for him than his home base of Mount Vernon. So everyone, when people hear him talk about Mount Vernon, and he looks at us, he goes, yeah, people, heard this. No, you know what? I hear him and I see him, and I hear him when he talks about being on South 14th and driving by that same house that he grew up in. And that's why he's a great county executive. And that's why we have a great partnership with the city of Mount Vernon, because it's absolutely necessary for the jewel of Mount Vernon to shine.
And just for our young people and some people who don't know, like you said, South 14th Avenue down at the foot of Vista. I drove by that home, and it's a modest home. It's a modest home. People sit and they see you now and that you're the county executive, but you're a Mount Vernon young man that grew up on the south side of Mount Vernon. Here I am sitting as the mayor. I grew up on the south side of Mount Vernon. I moved to the plaza, and then I'm back on the south side of Mount Vernon in the home of my birth. And so, whether you're south side, north side, Fleetwood, Kingsbridge Heights, wherever you are, Mount Vernon is a strong community. We have a lot to offer. We have tremendous value. We're not only getting, but we're also giving throughout the county. We don't only take resources, but we have resources to offer. And so I just want to say thank you again to both of you for being incredible partners. Have a blessed Thanksgiving. Stay healthy, stay safe, and enjoy your family, even if it's through Zoom's giving. All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much.